Okay, now we're up to the part where we actually get into the fabric. We're going to purchase the fabric we need. Pick out the pattern that you want, get your amounts of fabric you need, and go to your fabric shop and get good quality cotton fabric. Make sure you get enough. And as a beginner, I would get a little bit extra so that if you cut something wrong, you won't be disappointed. When you get this fabric home, you have two schools of thought. One is to wash the fabric before you use it. The other is to just use it and then wash it. I personally do not wash mine prior to using it. But if you do, cut the corner of your fabric on each side and it won't fray in the washer as bad. Be careful of your lint filters so that you don't get too much in there. Wash it, dry, and just before it gets dry, if you will take your fabric out and then fold it and put it over a hanger and let that last little cool down be in that position, it usually is not too bad to use. If you do pre-wash, it will show you if anything's going to bleed, if any strong colors are going to bleed. I do not wash mine. When I wash it after I have made the quilt, if I'm careful, I've not ever had any problems with bleeding before. This material right here, when I take it off of the bolt, I rip it. I'm going to snip a little bit, and we'll just do it right here. Always keep the end on your cutter. You can cut yourself. We're going to tear this. This gives us a good even edge. We know that part of the material is on the grain. Then we're going to take it. We're going to even up our selvages. Now we're not evening up these two ends necessarily. We're going to put the selvages together, then hold it up and slide them left or right until the bottom hangs straight. We'll put it with the selvages up on this end, even. Then we're going to bring the bottom up and put it even across there with the selvages. Now, if you have any severe wrinkles in this material, you do need to iron those out so it will work with you, but I don't iron it if I do not need to. You're going to take your ruler, you're going to line it up with the bottom of the material. Put your hand carefully on the ruler, making a little, use all 5 fingers, and hold your ruler in place. Then you're going to take your rotary cutter and slowly and carefully go down the length of it, and you have a squared up edge. At this point, you can start cutting your strips. If you need 3-inch strips, and you're going to need 5 of them, I could leave my ruler right where it is, come on this side, cut this way, which is a little awkward, but I'm only going to do it once. Be careful with these cutters. I would pull this part out of the way, and then I would slide this ruler 3 inches this way and cut. 3 more and cut. 3 more and cut. 3 more and cut. And I would have my 5 strips, and I would not have handled that fabric any more than I had to. So now we know how to cut our strips, square up our fabric. We're going to have a little problem once in a while with our ruler slipping. They do make some products to put on the back. Some people will glue little dots of sandpaper in occasional spots. There are other ways to do it, but as long as you can hold your ruler straight and still, you'll get some good cuts. And as I said, that is a very, very sharp blade. Now, the next thing we need to do, some patterns are very specific. You have to have a scant 1/4 inch seam. And people say, what is a scant 1/4 inch seam? That's sewing 2 pieces together just a little less than 1/4 inch. So when you open it out, it only took a 1/2 inch out of the width of those strips. Now, you have to take the machine you're using and work at this until you find out where your material has to go across to do this. Cut out 3 strips, and these are already sewn together, but I've got 2-inch strips, and I want 3 of them. I'm going to sew them together at what I think is a scant 1/4 inch. Then I'm going to press them open. If these started out as 2-inch strips, they will be a finished 1.5 inch strip, because you're going to take 1/4 of an inch off of each side when you sew it. If you sew 3 2-inch strips together, you should come out with 5 inches across if you have a scant 1/4 inch. When I did this, I measured, and across was 5 inches, so I know that my needle in that position is the accurate place for a scant 1/4 inch. Now, if you're doing a pattern that has to have a scant 1/4 inch, you have to be very careful. If you're doing some patterns, you do not have to have an exact scant 1/4 inch. You want about a 1/4 inch, but as long as your seam stays the same throughout the quilt, you're okay. However, when you get to the point you're cutting borders or end pieces, you have to actually measure the quilt top to find out how long your border pieces will be, because each one could have been a little bit bigger, and the final quilt top is not the size that the pattern said it would be. Doesn't mean it's wrong, it's still your quilt, but if you will actually measure the quilt in the middle, that's what you want to make your border strip for each end. Because when you go to a quilt show, they're going to fold the end of the quilt to the middle, and if it doesn't match, they're going to take off points. So we want to be careful, measure it in the middle. That's what you're going to make your top and bottom border. Flip it the other way, measure it in the middle, and make the 2 side borders. Thank you for joining me today. I hope I've been able to give you some hints and tips that will help you in the future with your quilt tops. I love talking to other quilters. Most other quilters love it too, so if you have any questions, find a quilter and ask them about it. They love to give advice. Also, don't be so hard on yourself. If you have a problem, take it to another quilter and see if there's an easy solution. Don't automatically give up on that quilt top. A lot of mistakes have turned into some of the most beautiful finished quilts. One last note, quilt geometry says if each square is not square, the end product will not be square. So make sure all your blocks are square, and square up that quilt top, and happy quilting.